Hello, friends, and welcome back to NASCAR Thunder 2003 Custom Season. Today, we'll be doing race number 2 of 36 at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. If you just missed the last race, Sterling Marlin finally won the Daytona 500 under caution. As we go to Atlanta Motor Speedway, in terms of point standings after the first race, point standings typically don't matter, but when they end the regular season, the Pepsi 400 after the Daytona Sprint, if you will, 3 straight races in the Daytona area after the Watkins Glen doubleheader. The driver in first will be the regular season champion. In terms of playoffs, Sterling Marlin gets an automatic berth in. Kevin Harvick is second in points. Bill Elliott is third in points. Ricky Rudd is fourth in points. Dylan Murway is fifth in points. Mark Martin is sixth in points. Rusty Wallace is seventh in points. Matt Kenseth is eighth in points. Kyle Petty is ninth in points. And Jeremy Mayfield is 10th in points. You must be in the top 30. If you win and you're in the top 30, you get an automatic berth into the playoffs. If you were outside of the top 30 and earn a win, you need to make it into the playoffs and start stringing together some good runs. So, Earnhardt Jr., Bobby Hamilton, anybody from Todd Bodine up would be an automatic lock for the playoffs. But big names like Dale Jr., Jeff Gordon, Bobby Hamilton, even rookies Jimmy Johnson and Ryan Newman have a long way to climb. In terms of the Rookie of the Year, Dylan Murway is the points leader by almost 72 points over Shauna Robinson. And the Jackpot 5 will be next week in Vegas. The first race means the top 5 drivers get to qualify. One of the Daytona 500 will qualify for the Jackpot 5, with races at Las Vegas, Richmond, Talladega, Lowe's, and then Daytona to end the regular season. Dodge is leading the manufacturer championship by 3 points over Chevrolet, and Kevin Harvick is the early season lap champion after leading the most laps at Daytona. Stay tuned to at the end of this race when we go over the awards for the race for a little special deal I'm going to put out to the fans. Something involving you'll get multiple opportunities to decide the colors I will be driving in this playthrough / season mode. Want me to advertise as your college? I'll do that. Want me to advertise something for fun? I'll do that. Want me to just slap some colors together and call it good? I can do that too. Atlanta Motor Speedway is 24 degrees in the corners, 5 degrees front and back straightaway. The very first race of this facility was held back in 1960. Atlanta Motor Speedway seats 124,000 people after the reconfiguration in 1997. Track record was a 28.074 at 197 miles an hour, set in November 15th of 1997. You can probably guess who that was by. This track was also initially a giant oval, but when it was reconfigured to look more like Charlotte and the new racetrack in Texas at the time, Atlanta quickly developed a reputation of being one of the fastest tracks on the NASCAR circuit. Coming out of turn 4, coming to the start-finish line, you are going to build a lot of speed, almost 191 going into turn 1. Then you want to let off in the corner. It is okay for your car to drift up a little bit because the surface has worn out enough, very similar to Auto Club, that you can run multiple grooves around this track. You can run on the bottom. You can sort of run in the middle. Try not to be too reliant on the top line. So after our first lap, we're 27th. Make our way around the track, trying to hack away from the first lap a little bit. Looks like we're tracking good. Picking up a little bit of time, hopefully. And that will put us in the 9th row. And here's Barney Hall.
Hey, Barney, and welcome to Hinton, Georgia. Sign up today's NASCAR Winston Cup race, the MBNA America 500. I expect to see some exciting racing in this one, don't you, Barney?
NASCAR doesn't use restrictor plates for this track, which is actually why it's one of the fastest speedways in the Winston Cup Series. We may see some speeds hit 200 miles an hour just before they dive off into these corners.
Gavin Harvick won here in only his 3rd career start. How's that for an instant success story?
This kid has got talent. There's no doubt about that. With Rookie of the Year honors in 2 of NASCAR circuits and a Busch Series championship, you've got to be expecting big things out of him in the years to come.
Jeremy Mayfield experienced an up-and-down year in 2000. In 12 top 10s and 4 poles, but also had 11 DNFs.
He was either running up front with the leaders or taking an early exit. Those wins are great, but each DNF is exactly the opposite and can take a driver out of the points race real quick.
Gentlemen, start your engine. Starting out front are the Mark Martin Ford and the Hamilton Ford. Starting in row 2 will be the Square D Chevrolet and the DeFont Chevrolet. In row 3 are the Almadel Ford and the 41 car. In row 4 are the Lowe Chevrolet and the Dale Jr. Chevrolet. Rounding out the top 10 starting spots are the GM Goodrich Service Plus Chevrolet and the UAW Delphi Chevrolet. Sterling Marlin, the NASCAR Winston Cup points leader, will start towards the front. Starting from row 7 will be the Windcraft car and the Team Rusty Ford. In the 8th row are the Rubbermaid Ford and the Interstate Batteries Pontiac. In the 9th row, we have the Dodge Dealers UAW Dodge and the 23 car. In the 10th row are the 27th car and the Van Racing Dodge. Starting the race for row 11 are the America Online Chevrolet and the 63 car. The 12th row has the Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet and the Kellogg Chevrolet. Starting the race from row 13 will be the 17 car and the Valvoline Pontiac. In row 14, we have the Dodge Dealers UAW Dodge and the Kodak Chevrolet. Starting from row 15 will be the Citgo Ford in the 26 car. In the 16th row are the Home Depot Pontiac and the Caterpillar Dodge. In the 17th row are the M&M's Pontiac and the Sprint Dodge. In the 18th row are the Cheerios Dodge and the Motorcraft Ford. Starting the race from row 19 are the 98th car and the Sirius Satellite Radio Dodge. The 20th row has the Singular Wireless Chevrolet and the 46 car. Starting the race from row 21 will be the Pennzoil Chevrolet and the 16 car. And finally, starting from the rear of the field will be the Tide Ford.
81 laps today at the Atlanta Motor Speedway for race 2 of 36, the MBNA America 500. Mark Martin and Ricky Rudd are on the front row. Daytona 500 winner Sterling Marlin will be starting in 11th next to Dale Jarrett. Pace car is off. Mark Martin, Ricky Rudd, bring him down, and we're racing at Atlanta. Whoa, stack up and problems already. Dylan Murway gets turned on the backstretch by Bobby Labonte. Everybody stacks up. Somehow this is only a one-car incident. Matt Kenseth gets wrapped up in the accordion. As the yellow flag has come out, more cars begin to check up. There's a third car involved in that as well, further up. Couldn't tell who it was. They hit the brakes on the backstretch, and Dylan Murway gets hit by Dale Jarrett. There's a third car. There's an orange car. Is that Tony Stewart that got in that? So big problems for the rookie today here at Atlanta. Tony Stewart was the third car involved in that. Matt Kenseth, obviously, with bumper damage to his car. Really surprised that wasn't a bigger accident than it could have. Was the accident it was. Only 3 cars being caught up in that. But early troubles here in Atlanta on lap number 1 for the Windcraft Chevrolet. So pace car is off, and hopefully we'll complete a lap this time. Field beginning to shuffle up towards the front. Mark Martin is still your race leader over Ricky Rudd as of right now, followed by Jimmy Johnson in third. Or sorry, Jeff Gordon in third. My bad. Obviously, the early crash, you can definitely see why aerodynamics was such a big part of this track. Because look at how slow Dylan Murway is. As we got problems, Tony Stewart has cut a tire, it looks like. The caution has come out as we race back to the yellow. Looks like debris on the racetrack from it's the 4 of Mike Skinner that hit him. And Tony Stewart, unfortunately, ended up cutting a tire. Mike Skinner was the one folding in with Tony Stewart. He was who folded over Tony Stewart in that accident on lap 1. So a very rough start for Tony Stewart and Dylan Murway and Matt Kenseth. And a bit of a halting start to the first portion of this race. 2 cautions in the first 10 laps. hopefully we can get some racing going in this race. Tony Stewart looking to pass Dylan Norway in the outside lane after cutting the tire early on in this race. Early on, having come down pit road, make some changes. Mike Skinner was the car that lost the hood on that caution. That brought out that second caution as a reminder. Looks like there was a lead change up at the front. Ricky Rudd passing Mark Martin for the race lead. Tony Stewart already looking like he's starting to pick up some time in the 41st position. Everybody racing seems like they've settled down here in this group. Everybody seems to. There's still a lot of side-by-side racing throughout the pack. Some cars trying to work the outside lane. Kyle Petty up there with Tony Stewart. He looks like Tony Stewart made a plan with Matt Kenseth by the looks of things. As him and Matt Kenseth were able to displace Kyle Petty without further issues. Stewart on the outside lane, Kenseth on the inside. As so far everything seems to be settling down. The 121 cars just doesn't feel like they're fast at this track. Good thing they only visit this once this season, but they got another intermediate track in Las Vegas coming up next week. So that ought to be another entertaining race there. So far it looks like the pack is slowly starting to spread out. You got John Andretti and Mike Skinner battling up ahead. But so far, it is the Mark Martin show as Jeff Gordon has moved into second spot. They were the drivers to watch for today because Jeff Gordon has had some success here. He's won basically all of his championships at this track. He won 2 of them on the old configuration when it was just a giant oval. And he won 2 in the new configuration. He obviously that famous race that was supposed to go green a little after noon locally back in 1998. And the race didn't end until 11 o'clock that night due to several rain delays throughout the afternoon and evening. In fact, the race was shortened because they didn't want fans out there at 2 in the morning. So they made the call to shorten the race, which normally that would have been a next day thing, and they would have ran the rest of that race on Monday, but not that it really mattered because Jeff Gordon already had 13 wins on the year. So he pretty much had the championship locked by North Carolina that year. 2001 was a bit interesting to say the least. Obviously, the attacks of September 11th meant that although he did lock up the championship at Atlanta, they didn't have the trophy presentation there. Obviously, they had to race at New Hampshire that Friday because of, again, September 11th.
You're looking great, boy. How's the car feel?
So he's had success at this facility at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Obviously, in 2011, him and Jimmy Johnson battled for the win in what was probably the coolest finish I've seen in Atlanta history. Probably on par with Kevin Harvick and Jeff Gordon here in 2001, where it was his third start since Dale Sr.'s death. And what a better way to take down one of the greatest at the time at one of the hardest tracks on rookies. Seems pretty great, huh? And hopefully today we see more of the same. But out front, it is Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon dominating the early stretches of this race. Looks like Mark Martin is starting to pull away from the field a little bit. Dylan Murray trying to suck a draft off of the 4 of Mike Skinner, the Kodak Chevrolet. And they're really catching the 4 and the 43. Seems like lap by lap, it seems like, as Dylan Murray continues to whittle down time. He's actually one of the fastest cars on the racetrack, as Dylan Murray finally catches the traffic, as he's going to take Skinner 3 wide. Almost. Skinner wisely backs out because of all the damage he sustained from that lap 1 stack up. And John Andretti seems to be playing Dylan pretty hard. Dylan Murray comes up right in front of the 43. Look at the damage on the 4 car. Missing a hood. I mean, you hope it's not that big of an issue aerodynamically, but aerodynamics, especially with how fast these cars race here, there's not just important, they're essential to the track. You can obviously see the time loss between Dylan Murray and the 16 of Greg Biffle. Granted, Dylan Murray has just been on a tear these past few laps trying to make up some time after starting 13th. And unfortunately, in a stack up, running into the back of Dale Jarrett and crashing on lap 1. Obviously didn't help matters. So far, it seems like we're starting to settle in with a little bit of a green flag run. So you should see pit stops very shortly, probably in the next 6 or 7 laps. 3 or 4. 81 laps so far in this race. Dylan Murray is just ripping through the track. Whoa. You can definitely see how quickly it eats tires, because you saw a little after the start-finish line, the 121 car started to come around a little bit. Luckily, he was able to save it and keep going, but the rest of the field is starting to spread out. If we're watching Tony Stewart and Matt Kenseth, as they were part of that lap 1 stack-up, they seem to have stagnated out in terms of passing cars. You see I saw an orange car a little further up in turn 2. So I have a feeling you may see a little bit of pit strategy here very shortly in terms of cars coming down onto pit road. See leaders just coming out of turn 4, and it is still Mark Martin. Ricky Rudd has made up the deficit a little bit to pass Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr. kind of briefly saw it at split second. So top 5 as it sits: Rusty Wallace, Ricky Rudd, Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Rusty Wallace. The top 5, Mark Martin is your race leader. Dylan Norway trying to make up as much time as possible. Kind of hard to really make up points when the field's so spread out, especially where you're running. See Biffle up top. This is a battle for 40th, but out front, it is Mark Martin with Ricky Rudd pretty much hot on his tail. You see the 16 of Greg Biffle driving the Volvo trucks forward. Whoa. Dylan Norway almost spun off the corner. And we almost had the third caution of the day. Right there, with how much load that he's putting on the tires. That's got to be bad. With the way Dylan's been kind of tearing around the racetrack, that's got to be bad how much load that he's putting on one tire. So Earnhardt, just a brief note here, Earnhardt Jr. has made his way up to the 3rd position, passing up Jeff Gordon.
That was a great lap, buddy.
Now it is Greg Biffle, Mike Skinner, and John Andretti battling for the rest of the positions in the pack. Now Dylan Norway is going to set his sights on the 7 car of Casey Atwood for positions on the racetrack. We've been clean and green since lap 6 pretty much, so we've had a 27-lap green flag run here in the MBNA America 500. You might see some drivers pit here in the next few laps or so. Or they might hope for another caution. See Casey Atwood up ahead. What looks like Casey Atwood is a dark blue machine. It's a dark blue Dodge. This Dylan Norway continues to essentially hack away at the lead. We already got 3 cars on pit road, and this looks to begin the cycle of green flag stops. More cars on pit road. Right front issues on the 121, and that's obviously because of the load that they're carrying on these tires all the way around this track. Dylan Norway coming back on still on the racetrack now. He's probably going to pit very shortly. He's got a car on the track up ahead, and it looks like it is the 45 of Kyle Petty getting in line. A black and white Dodge, black, white, and red, just like Sprint at the time. He's racing the 7 of Casey Atwood. Car is basically on the verge of crashing. That's how I'm feeling right now. or it's been on the verge of crashing for the past couple laps. Dylan Murray running around on the bottom. So far, he is one of the fastest cars on the racetrack, other than maybe Ricky Rudd, who is chasing down Mark Martin for a little bit, as Jeff Gordon is now your new leader. Wow. Remember, if he wins, he's going to have to move up into the top 30, but with the way things are going, the point standings the regular season point standings could look very different. Almost always look radically different from Daytona to the second race of the year, whether that be Vegas, Atlanta, or Homestead, in the case of next season in real life. Dylan Murray is still out there he's maybe trying to work in some pit strategy, trying to see how long he can stay out there as his right front tire continues to wear down, it looks like. Not a whole lot of grip on the track for Dylan Murray to look for, as he's basically been searching all over the place, trying to get some momentum back and make up the ground he lost after crashing early on lap 1. Looks like Jeff Gordon is starting to pit, so this means we should see him very shortly and see how the rest of the field shakes out. Lap car Frank Kimmel up ahead, behind the 27 and Jamie McMurray. Nice little 4-car battle for position up ahead. Looks like it's going to be a 5-car battle almost between a couple lap cars. There's a little bit of exciting racing there. And Dylan Murray will come down pit lane. Oh, contact. Wow. Dylan Murray and Casey Atwood crash coming onto pit road. So there could be damage to both of the 7 and the 121 early on in this race, as under green flag pit stops, Jeff Gordon has just put this next group of cars 1 lap down. And pit mistakes. Loving pit mistakes. And that just cost me 3 seconds. And probably another lap on the racetrack. At least. So as we look at we're going to take a look at the mid-race report here very shortly. We got the cars exiting pit road. Jeff Burton has gotten up to speed. Dylan Murray is beginning to do so right now. So while we do that, let's take a look at the race stats up to this point. A lot of cars are a lap down or more. Essentially half the field is off the lead lap. So Dale Jarrett is leading. Jeff Gordon is second. Tony Stewart is third. Ryan Newman is fourth. Jeff Green is fifth. Matt Kenseth is sixth. Robbie Gordon is seventh. Elliott Sadler is eighth. Shane Hall is in ninth. And Todd Bodine is 10th. 11 is John Andretti. 12th is Sterling Marlin. 13th is Mark Martin. He has led the most laps up to this point. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is 14th. Kurt Busch is 15th. Billy is running 16th. Scott Rimmer runs 17th. Bobby Labonte will run 18th. Ricky Rudd is currently running 19th. And Michael Waltrip runs out the top 20. Moving through the rest of the field, Rusty Wallace is 21st. Terry Labonte is 22nd. Jimmy Johnson currently runs 23rd for his first start at Atlanta. 24th is Kevin Harvick. 25th is Jeff Burton. 26th is Jimmy Spencer. 27th is Steve Park. 28th is Ricky Craven. 29th is Bobby Hamilton. 30th is Johnny Benson. 31st is Ward Burton. 32nd is Kyle Petty. 33rd is Jerry Nadeau. 34th is Frank Kimmel. 35th is Casey Kane. 36th is Kenny Schrader. 37th is Jeremy Mayfield. 38th is Shauna Robinson. 39th is Jamie McMurray. And Casey Atwood runs 40th. 41st is Greg Biffle. 42nd is Mike Skinner. And Dylan Murway runs out the field in last. So several drivers are a lap down. According to this interval, there is a handful that are on the lead lap in this whole mix. No cars have fallen out of the race up to this point. Dylan Murway is the only car on the track that is 2 laps down. Hopefully after this, they can start making up some laps and Dylan Murway can get some cautions. Dylan Murway gets on the lead lap and gets back into the race. But remember, in this season, you have to race back and pass the leader to get your lap back, which could lead to some rather cagey decisions. Several cars that are coming out of pit road. You got the 12th of Ryan Newman coming back onto the racetrack. There, Dale Jarrett is pitting, so it looks like Dylan Murway will get one of his laps back. Whoa, okay, that was almost bad. There's 17 Matt Kenseth on pit, coming off the pit road and onto the track. Dale Jarrett was one of the leaders that came down pit road, presumably on that last yellow. The leader is coming off of turn 4. Got Jeff Green in the 30, Dylan Murway in the 121. Racing for position. The other 2 cars up ahead are leaders. It's kind of been a bad day across the board for Dylan Murway and Matt Kenseth. Ricky Rudd almost turns Dylan Murway off at 2. Looks like everybody seems to get out of it. Dylan Murway continuing to dominate. Run 2 laps down as of right now. Dale Jarrett is your leader. Oh, that might have been a bit of a payback there between the two cars. The leader now is Tony Stewart, who early in this race lost to right front on lap 6. Granted, we're in the middle of pit cycles, but Tony Stewart is cycled out front. The same Tony Stewart that lap 1 was part of that big stack up, and 5 laps later cut a right front. Yes, that Tony Stewart. Oh, Dylan up the track. He's into the wall. Stay green. Definitely a tough day here in Atlanta for Dylan Murway. He's been pretty banged up pretty much the entire afternoon. As we've worked a 40-lap green flag run after 2 cautions at the start of this race. More cars are coming down pit road. Looks like Tony Stewart is on pit road now, so it should shift the lead over to Jeff Gordon this time, and it looks like it will. Dylan Early gets one of his laps back. Dylan Norway's been just kind of all over the place today. Thought he had a good strategy going, but lap 1 got turned by after running into Dale Jarrett, and then ended up with a big mess in turn 3 that ended up taking out 4 cars. And Robbie Gordon will go around here on the front stretch, and the caution flag is out for the 3rd time this afternoon. And Kyle Petty with damage. Wow. Looks like saw some black smoke come out of Petty's car. It's kind of weird. So with this pit strategy, this could make for an interesting restart. Green flag back into the air. If a caution were to come out, one of these lap cars has to hold off Jeff Gordon for that to happen, though. There is no lucky dog rule. If a caution comes out and you're in front of Jeff Gordon, you will get your lap back. You can see the top 5 on the screen as it sits. Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, Ricky Rudd, Rusty Wallace, and Sterling Marlin, the top 5. Gordon going way up top. Looks like he's racing with a lap car, 3 wide off the corner. Contact Kurt Busch. Up the track he goes. Everyone stacks up. Somehow the caution hasn't come out. We stay straight. Mark Martin did lead the most laps early in this race, so just a reminder, the driver who led the most laps last week, Kevin Harvick, did not win the race. He finished inside the top 5. Hopefully Mark Martin can continue that trend, but with a win here at Atlanta. Delmore comes up trying to hold off Matt Kenseth. And yeah, he's loose. Big loose. The swap between driving up in the outside lane. We got 21 laps to go in this race. Jeff Gordon is your leader. Somehow Dale Jarrett wasn't part of that. Didn't get shuffled to the back in that lap 1 instant after Dylan Norway ran square in the back of him. Newman going down low. And there goes Ryan Newman. This time, looks like he got hit by Nadu as the caution comes out. The 4th caution of the afternoon. And there's more stacking up here in turn 3. Jeff Gordon takes the caution. There are 4 cautions, the 4th one of the afternoon. So Ryan Newman gets hit by Stewart and Frank Kimmel. I didn't see this. Frank Kimmel came in there late, pile drove into the side of Newman. And another rough go for the 12 this season. 2 back-to-back last place finishes with a young rookie out of Purdue. So while that goes on, the fifth caution of the afternoon here in Atlanta.
Tired all the way around.
And that will be it here. Hopefully, with that car being tightened up, Dylan Murray will get back on the lead lap here to allow some grip in the corners. By the way, Mark Martin took the lead coming to the caution, so while that goes on, Mark Martin and contact between Dylan Murray and Matt Kenseth. And it got a big pile up in turn 3. Multiple cars involved as they race back to the caution. Matt Kenseth is one of them. I think it might have clipped another car as Kenseth came down the track. And then, Kenseth's in it. Waltrip slides across the track. Collects Bill Elliott. Matt Kenseth and Bill Elliott go to the garage. Or Michael Waltrip, I'm sorry. Kenseth and Waltrip will be going to the garage. Jeff Gordon took the lead back that caution, so we have a restart here with 12 to go. If any of these 4 drivers can get to Gordon, then they will get their laps back, but it doesn't look like that'll be an issue here. Dylan Murray is losing power big time. I think he's on the verge of blowing up. Somehow Dale Jarrett hasn't blown up yet after that crash. $11 to go. And Kurt Busch spins. Everybody runs into him as the caution comes out. Big snack up on the backstretch this time as they race back to the caution flag on lap 70. So it looks like Kurt Busch, Jeff Burton. Second time there was a teammate accident in this first 2 races. Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson wrecked at Daytona late. This time a 3-car incident because Terry Labonte got wrapped up in that. As we're in the last couple laps, so we're in that 10 to go rule. If a car that drivers who are a lap down automatically restart the back of the field. So consider the day pretty much over for Dylan Murray as out front. Jeff Gordon looks to hold off Mark Martin for his first win of the year and his first win in Atlanta since 1998. Four cars have fallen out of the race, so it's going to hurt them in points. It's going to hurt Newman even more because he was on the bottom end of – he's actually at the bottom of the point sheet. So he's going to need some miracles heading into Vegas next week. Need at least a solid run or two, start stringing them together. Then Vegas, then out to California, and then North Carolina Motor Speedway. 6 laps to go. Jeff Gordon is still your leader over Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace, Dale Jr., and Ricky Rudd in the top 5. There is a car slow up ahead. That is the 46 of Frank Kimmel. A little bit of contact there. We are at the red flag lap. If a yellow were to come out right now, that could end the race. So Frank Kimmel with the debris, he needs to hope he gets off the track now. Four to go. Top 5 seems to be relatively unchanged as Jeff Gordon tries to hold off Mark Martin for the win here in Atlanta and possibly a spot in the playoffs. Sterling Marlin already filled that with a win back at Daytona in the Daytona 500. As we make our way around to 3 laps to go here at Atlanta. 4 cars have fallen out of the race. So we had a little bit of attrition in this race. We had 3 fall out in the Daytona 500. As the white flag waves here in Atlanta one more time around. Can Jeff Gordon hold off Mark Martin and get his first win in Atlanta since 1998 to avenge for a deserved win to Richard Childress, but being edged out narrowly by inches almost kind of hurts. They make it out of turn 4, and the checkered flag is out here at Atlanta. As the rest of the field comes around to take the checkered flag. Jeff Gordon is able to hold off Mark Martin and punch his ticket into the playoffs.
Lots of caution laps were run to this race.
Yeah, I'm sure the drivers would have rather seen more green flag laps, especially the guys who ran out front most of the race.
The Windcraft car finished towards the back of the field in this one.
I hate it for those guys, too. They were so positive about their chances to win this morning, but then they just had a bad race. It happens.
This is Joe Moore for Barney Hall saying thanks for joining us for today's NASCAR Winston Cup race. So long. We'll see you next week at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
So, definitely a tough afternoon in Atlanta as we've had, look at the winner's stats, so the close race stats for this race. So, Jeff Gordon earns $158,000. The race stood over 1 hour, 8 minutes, and 11 seconds. Recording time says otherwise. Caution flag, 6 cautions for 11 laps. Lead changes, 6. Average speed, a little over 108 miles an hour. And margin of victory was 1.1 seconds. So we take a look at the unofficial results. Jeff Gordon gets his first win of the year. Mark Martin finishes second after leading the most laps. So Bobby Hamilton finishes third. Wait, hello. Hamilton. Okay, I messed that up there. Mark Martin finishes second. Rusty Wallace finishes third. Dale Earnhardt Jr. finishes fourth. Ricky Rudd finishes fifth. Jimmy Johnson finishes sixth. So they needed those runs after Daytona because they were outside the top 30. So Tony Stewart finishes seventh. Dale Jarrett finishes 8th, Sterling Marlin finishes 9th, and Ricky Craven finishes 10th. Jeff Green finishes 11th, Bobby Labonte finishes 12th, Kevin Harvick will end up 13th, Kurt Busch 14th, Johnny Benson 15th, Bill Elliott will finish 16th, Bobby Hamilton finishes 17th, Ward Burton will end up 18th, Jerry Nadeau ends up 19th, Casey Kane will finish 20th, 21st is Elliott Sadler. 22nd is Harbo 9. 23rd is Kyle Petty. 24th is Jimmy Spencer. 25th is Shane Hall. 26th is Robbie Gordon. 27th is Ken Schrader. 28th is Greg Biffle. 29th is Jeremy Mayfield. 30th is Terry Labonte. 31st is Shauna Robinson. 31st is Casey Atwood. Steve Park ends up finishes 33rd. Jamie McMurray ends up 34th. Frank Kimball ends up 35th. Scott Wimmer will end up 36th. John Andretti 37th. Dylan Murway finishes 38th. Mike Skinner ends up finishing 39th. And then Skinner is the last car that ran on the track. Frank Kimmel was the last car on the lead lap in 35th, despite the damage. So Jeff Burton finishes 40th, 10 laps down. Michael Waltrip ends up 41st, 16 laps down. Matt Kenseth 42nd, 16 laps down. And Ryan Newman 43rd, 20 laps down. Bit of a tough go in this race for if you're a Matt Kenseth fan. Expecting a strong run after a rather disappointing 2001 campaign. Save first. So, look at some stats. With that, it shuffles Dylan Murway down to 18th on the in points. Jeff Gordon, with his win, is automatically in the playoffs, despite being 14th in points. Sterling Marlin falls to 2nd, despite his top 10 run today. So, Mark Martin is your points leader. In terms of playoffs, Sterling Marlin and Jeff Gordon are through to when the playoffs start in Darlington. Take a look at driver stats. Mark Martin is Sterling Marlin, the only driver with a pole. So, weekly awards, Mark Martin won the Budweiser Pole Award and the Gatorade Frontrunner Award. Ricky Craven moved up the most spots. Ricky Rudd had the EA Sports Fast Pace Award. Jimmy Johnson was the best finishing rookie in this race. And Jeff Gordon made the most exciting pass of the race. Rookie of the Year closed up a lot tighter as Jimmy Johnson was able to basically go from the bottom of the sheet to almost the top of the sheet. Only 2 pole awards, Jackpot 5. The next race will be the Jackpot 5. So one of these Talladega is the race I will allow a fans-made paint scheme in terms of colors and designs. I'll put out a info for that. It'll be one of 4 races. I'll let you, the fan, decide what colors and the design of how the car looks. It will be 4 races, so Chevrolet is taking the points lead over Dodge with Jeff Gordon's win today at Atlanta. And Mark Martin has surpassed, and Jeff Gordon have both surpassed Kevin Harvick for the lap champion. Kevin Harvick is 3rd in points with 28 laps led. Dylan Murway has led 8 laps. Sterling Marlin 7. Tony Stewart 5. Robbie Gordon 3. Dale Jarrett 2. Ricky Craven 1. And Bobby Labonte 1 lap. And Ward Burton 1 lap. So 11 cars. And before we go and head into the next race, so the 4 races, you probably heard me listen to that earlier, the 4 races I will allow fans to design the paint schemes will be as follows. Please write these down. So the Irons 499 at Talladega. Brickyard 400 at Indy. Motor City 400 at Michigan. And the California 500. So, again, Aaron's 499 at Talladega. Brickyard 400 at Indy, Motor City 400 at Michigan, and the California 500 in California to open the round of 12 in the playoffs. So be sure to stay tuned next time for race 3 of 36, Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the UAW Daimler Chrysler 400, 66 laps. See you then.